Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. In today's episode, I wanted to provide a little bit of commentary in regards to the incident that took place in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, I don't know if many of you had the opportunity yet to watch what occurred in Cincinnati. Now, feel free to search Cincinnati Attack, and most likely you will pull up this scene and then a corresponding video of exactly what happened. Now, what do you see in this video? Well, you see a pack, a group of Americans of African descent, attacking a white male. You see Americans of African descent females. You see American of African descent males. Multiple males, multiple females, attacking and beating this lone individual as he is laying on the ground. Now, what you'll also notice is it's very interesting. Many of the attacks that occur, many of the strikes that occur, are from the rear. They are attacking him while he cannot see the attacker. Almost something out of, you would see out of the Wild Kingdom, a pack of hyenas attacking a isolated mammal, zebra, even a injured lion. The same tactics and strategy that you would see in the animal kingdom were displayed in this attack in Cincinnati. Now, this is not the only attack of its kind that has been documented around the United States. It's not the only attack. There are dozens upon dozens upon dozens of these attacks that occur. What's interesting is the only mainstream newsworthy reports that occur are if it is a non-compliant American of African descent that is non-compliant in a traffic stop or some sort of law enforcement stop that ultimately leads to a use of force, and in some cases unaliving that non-compliant individual, such as what happened with the George Floyd narrative, right? Now, these attacks are ongoing. Most of the time, they do not get a lot of media coverage, but recently, they are getting quite a bit of social media coverage. And obviously social media, whether you like it or not, is becoming one of the main forms of communication. One of the main forms of creating a narrative, creating and this is very important, a perception. A perception. Now, what's interesting here in the United States, I will go ahead and break down the Americans of African descent and then another group of want-to-be Americans from Africa, immigrants that are attempting to come here and have a different life. You really have to divide those two categories. for the most part, we do not see this sort of activity that you see right here in Cincinnati taking place within the community of Africans who want to become Americans. We don't really see it that much. By and large, they appear to be here simply to prosper and have a better life, which is fine, totally acceptable. What's interesting is it is what I would define as the quasi-indigenous American of African descent that is being portrayed in the videos that you see currently, such as the indigenous population of some sectors of Cincinnati, Chicago, and other major cities around the United States. And you have to, again, divide those sectors of the African population. Now, look, it is a statistical fact that approximately 10 to 12% of the population commits about 50 to 60% of all aggravated robberies and homicides in the United States. That's a fact. It is a fact that we are seeing more and more of these videos that are occurring around the United States as the new normal. Now, I'm not going to get into the why this is occurring. It really doesn't matter. What matters is where this is going to take us. What is going to be the end game of these attacks? What happens when the large American majority finally has enough? Finally has enough. What happens? What does that look like? Well, I can tell you that African immigrants have had that experience. And some of them have fled their corresponding nation states to get away from what happens when one group has had enough of the other group. Example, Rwanda. Essentially, one group was exterminating the other group in numbers of around 100,000 persons per day. 100,000 persons per day. This was before social media existed that had the ability to transmit and create a perception around what was happening in a city near you. Go back to 1930s Europe. 1930s Europe. Something happened. Something happened in 1930s Europe to create an environment where one group of people at a certain point had enough. Whether it was correct or incorrect is irrelevant. At a certain point, there was a reaction. There was a reaction. And what did that lead to? Into 1930s and 1940s, early 1940s Europe. Well, I think we all know what happened. We can look at other areas around the world without social media creating a perception to see ultimately what can and will, not what may, what will absolutely happen. So where am I going with this? Well, if I were the group, if I were part of the group that was attacking people and creating this perception of we simply cannot live with these people anymore, I would be frightened, because it is going to lead eventually to an event. If these incidents that you're seeing here that took place in Cincinnati, that are happening in other areas around the country, continue, there is going to be a reaction. There is going to be a reactionary series of events. And it could be horrifying if you were part of that group of the population that is eventually set upon by the majority, the organized majority. It will eventually lead to this. And in all probability, it is coming. And I have a feeling that the African peoples who have immigrated to the United States, when they see these sorts of videos that are taking place, I imagine the rational ones are becoming very concerned of what could happen and where this could lead. And it is absolutely, eventually, if you continue to see this, what happened in Cincinnati, I promise you, it is going to lead to a series of events that will change the fabric of the United States forever. Now, you can guess what that's going to look like and how that is going to occur. But I promise you, if this continues, that reaction is going to occur. Look, as always, thank you for joining us. More to come very, very soon. Have a good day.